Greetings, gamers, and welcome to another episode. Today I'd like to talk about Doom. And anybody that's familiar with the channel knows that we cover a lot of Doom here. And today I decided to go and backtrack through some of the videos I did and kind of put a little list of the top 5 Doom console ports. Doom has been ported to so many different platforms over the years and so many things. And back then, it's no different. They had a lot of ports. And today I want to talk about my top 5 and why they're on the list. So, let's take a look at number 5. Doom on the Super Nintendo. Now I know what you're thinking. Why are we even talking about this one? Well, besides it being on a very cool red cartridge, Doom on the Super Nintendo is almost a guilty pleasure for me. Why? Because it's really a technical feat. I mean, how many consoles that are 16-bit out there can say, I can run Doom on this? And yeah, I know there's helper chips in here and the SFX2 chip, but no, this is quite the technical feat. It has a lot of the majority of the levels, it's not missing much in it, and even though that frame rate is kind of rough, and obviously the way that the game plays and looks is definitely nothing near the original product, it is still a very faithful port with a lot to offer if you are willing to forgive what the technical limitations are of the Super Nintendo. But for me, I really enjoy playing it every time here and there just to kind of compare. It's fun for me going through ports and then saying, oh, this is a little bit different, this is a little bit of the same. And the Super Nintendo, I am very impressed with how much time and effort they must have put into this to actually make it that solid of a port. Now granted, it isn't my top choice. It just got onto this list just because of the technical bragging of it for me, in my opinion. So, Doom on the Super Nintendo, very amazing. Even went to the point of actually having deathmatch capabilities if you had an X-Band back in the past. But overall, a fun port of Doom that I'd recommend to anybody to at least try once. Doom on the 32X. Now I know what you're thinking. Why is this even on this list? Well, once again, if you're familiar with me in this channel, Doom on the 32X is very special to me, and I will blatantly admit right now, it's nostalgia of why it's on this list. Doom on the 32X is the very first time I ever got to play Doom, because I didn't have the means to play Doom on the PC or anything else. And in the past, I saved up all I could, got a 32X specifically just to be able to play Doom at the time. And you know what? It says a lot about a game that even though that the 32X is arguably one of the worst ports of Doom due to the lack of levels and the music and sound effects, and we can go on and on about all the negatives of this and wonder why it's on a top 5 list. But no, seriously for me, Doom on the 32X, if you can't stand the slow frame rate of the Super Nintendo version, then really this is your next console port for an improvement on the frame rate. The frame rate is solid on the 32X compared to the Super Nintendo. It does lack a lot of levels, but for me, it'll always have a special place just because it's my very first experience with Doom, and even though it was butchered so much, I still enjoyed the game because I had no clue what I was missing until later on once I got a PC that could run it. Next, we have the very first portable version of Doom. Doom on the Game Boy Advance is a very cool port in my opinion. At the time, I had a Game Boy Advance, I was in college, you're waiting in between classes. It saved a whole lot of running around time. When I had dead time, this was my go-to. I was so happy when this came out on my Game Boy Advance. It is one of the better ports of Doom. It's very accurate. Some of the things that people point out is I believe the blood is green in this one, which is kind of, you know, a damper, but not the biggest thing to deal. And really, when you think about it, if you'd like to play Doom on the go, the Game Boy Advance is very comfortable. But if you'd like to experience this one on, say, a Game Boy Player, I'd strongly recommend looking into a Hori controller. It's kind of a nice Super Nintendo type of feel controller, and just being able to strafe and everything else in the game significantly is improved using that controller. But whether you want to play your Doom on the go or at home, however you want to play this one, you won't be disappointed with this title. And now we come to one of the most arguable best ports of Doom of its time, the PlayStation version of Doom. This version of Doom is so unique in its own right. It is so fun and enjoyable. I know that the frame rate is a little stuttering here and there because a lot's going on, but it has its own unique special levels. It's a great package, has dynamic lighting, and instead of the traditional music and sound effects, you have an upgraded music and sound effect, and the music they went with an ambient noise type of music, and it really works well with this. The lighting and the music create a whole different flavor and atmosphere of this Doom that even though there's so many ports out there, if there's any port out there that you haven't tried, this would be the one to at least try. This version of Doom supported even the serial link capability if you're lucky enough to have that on your PlayStation, and you can even share this unique experience with a friend and have some good old-fashioned co-op or deathmatch play, which is a lot to say about all these old ports of Doom because not all of them supported deathmatch and co-op. So when it comes to this version of Doom, I can't highly recommend it enough. It's a shame if anybody that is a Doom fan hasn't played it yet, but put it on the top of your port list to play if you ever get a chance with this one. And finally, we have Doom on Xbox Live. Yeah, it's unfortunate that the number one choice is a DLC, but luckily, down the road, they came out with Doom 3 BFG Edition, and you can actually have a physical copy of that version of Doom. So, you can play it on your Xbox 360 or PS3. I have it on the Xbox 360. I don't know if there is a difference between those two, but from my experience, this is your ultimate version of Doom on a console. The reason being, it's extremely easy to set up. You pop it in, you can do split screen, co-op or deathmatch up to 4 players immediately, which is a great convenience when you look back at the other ports. It is extremely accurate to the PC. I think the only censorship in this one that I can think of offhand is that they changed the Red Cross labels on the metapacks, and you know what, that's not a real make or break for me. It's disappointing it's not 100% identical to the PC version, but still, it's nothing that's going to break the game for me. But when you come to this game, if you don't already have this game, you need to go out and buy it now. Because if you want to just share Doom with somebody and do some good old-fashioned couch play, or immediately have Doom action in the living room, there's no quicker and easier way than setting it up on an Xbox 360 or PS3, split screen, and start hammering away. I have done videos in the past on all these Dooms. Feel free to take a look at those and go in a little bit more depth comparison of what I have to say. But really, I just wanted to go over this quick top 5 with you guys. Let me know what you think your favorite ports of Doom are, and maybe which ones are better than these that you may think. But either way, I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll talk to you guys next time.